Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you on this daily Hindu knowledge video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening the MCQ lessons they come. So 7th of September, important issue regarding Chandrayaan. Unfortunate information is there that the mission that was about to be completed last night, but the communications they got lost, and before 2 kilometers as it was about to hit the ground, the main lander that lost the communication from the ground station there. So that's a very disheartening news, but we cannot lose hope there. Still we are trying to connect there, and we will see what's going to happen and how these things went into a problematic phase. We need to analyze there because we have a future ahead, we have many plans ahead. Gaganyaan we have set for ourselves, so many things will be concerning here, and obviously our scientists are working 24/7 for those things, and that was really a great thing for India. Now Chandrayaan 2 is gonna be we do not know that what kind of future will be there for Chandrayaan 2 project, and let's see what happens. But we will discuss here important articles. We will have our own discussion based on the tariff wars issue between US and China and the impact on the world growth and other issues. Pocket News app is trending on Google Play. You can download that. Regarding these courses, the description is given below the video, and you can call on these numbers, and this is the website's address where chat section is available for all these courses. PDF you will get here on this group, and you can also find the Telegram channels link there. So on both the sources the PDFs are available. Here you can follow me on Instagram too, and these are some words that I found today. Now, first article by Vishwajit Dhar. He talks about the situation which has held the world growth, and as in a family, two senior people, the way they must behave, that is important. And because there are younger kids in the house, they are growing up and they are learning a lot from those senior members there, so their behavior, their way, their lifestyle, that impacts too much. Here these two big countries, and you see, taking inspiration, looking at them, a lot of countries are growing, and we are also a huge country, but these two are the biggest one right now, and they are fighting like anything. These tariff wars were announced, and US has a lot of insecurities regarding the Chinese rise, and China is also going in a way where problems are rising, and they are also not compromising anywhere, and somewhere the currency issues are there, somewhere some tariff issues are there, and a lot of arrogance is also shown by Chinese administration there. Now who knows the truth? We only know the official information is there, and it all depends on the word media and the broadcasts out there. Now in this article, which is important for GS paper 2 and 3, because both will be relevant here. You see, we have been hearing many informations regarding the tariffs which are raised by both the countries, and a few days back important information was there that they are moving ahead towards a phase where America is gonna raise these tariffs by 25% on all the products. Means whatever they are importing from China, they are gonna put 25% tariffs on all the products. And you see, the trade is not small. One of the biggest trades between two countries that is taking place between US and China, and US is importing more than China is importing that from America. So the issue is extremely important for Chinese side, because China is an export oriented economy mainly, and it has been there. Right now the domestic consumption is also very much important for China, because that is taking the economy further, because the exports are stuck. But in these times, in these challenging times, these tariffs are way too devastating. So that's why China is also bound to retaliate here, and these retaliatory tariffs are also announced. This time this is going to be a huge war. Why? First, you see, here the latest round of tariff increase on $540 billion that is gonna be targeted here, and 15% they have put on $300 billion products. Only pharmaceutical products are left here because those are too sensitive, and that something is a need where people may die because of them. So China announced additional tariffs on more than 5,000 products. And you see, this time, what is the bigger problem? Bigger problem is that China is hitting the two sensitive areas, which are two sensitive issues for America: agriculture and crude oil. And crude oil is for the first time hit. Now, agricultural, forestry, and crude oil. These three important things and additional other products, they are inviting tariffs from China. So America's export model will surely be hit. And you see, one big issue that China has taken this issue to WTO, and in WTO things are too complex. America had a lot of impact on this important institution, and we have also lost many issues which were raised in WTO because America has a lot of impact there. It is a biggest stakeholder there. So things are too complex. WTO was established for this particular globalized order, and now America, who was the main proponent of globalization, is going against that trend, and unilateral issues are coming from America's side. And because America's decisions are coming of this type, then China is also raising the ante there, and this is how the world growth is stuck, and the ambience and the trust factor that is declining for other countries, and all will try to go towards their shell now because protectionism is rising. So all will try to protect each other, because whoever are left, they may be exploited because it is no more a fair trade, and they all are observing that these institutions like WTO, they are not helping much, and that's why it's the issue. Now America took reference. Actually, it misused this issue, and they did not take any reference here. They had a Trade Act of 1974, and according to its 301 section, US is allowed to investigate any country which, in its opinion, has violated IPRs of American companies. So according to them, the Chinese companies, they are violating the IPR norms, and after this finding, they may put sanctions on that country, and this way they are justifying their moves. Next, they are again raising another issue: Omnibus Trade and Competitiveness Act, a different act that allows America to examine whether there are trade partners of USA, whether they are involved in any kind of a currency manipulation or exchange rate manipulation, or any kind of balance of payment issue is going towards a distortion. Then they take action there, and that is why, on the basis of that, America has called China a currency manipulator. In August, we came to know about this information that they called currency manipulator, and Mr. Mnuchin, who is the Secretary of Treasury, he invoked these provisions, Section 3004 of Omnibus Trade and Competitiveness Act, and they called China a currency manipulator. So they said that this issue is going on for many years now, and China has been keeping its currency on a lower side. Devaluation is intentional, and China has done so. Depreciation is automatic. Okay, the lowering of the value of the currency of any country against any standardized currency, then it happens automatically in the floating rate system. Then it is depreciation. If it is intentionally done by any country, then it is devaluation, and devaluation helps exporters perfectly, and Chinese economy is the export oriented economy. So that's why America said that it is manipulated by China, and that is why we are putting all these tariffs and all, and we want to protect our industries because there is a huge threat. But we all know that insecurities are there for America because of the Chinese rise. and in all important areas like military might, space, and everywhere, China is putting a lot of challenges, and it has become the biggest rival for America. Now, many issues are raised which are initiated by Trump administration. It has withdrawn from many important issues. Climate change was also controversial with Mr. Trump, and he called it a fake one. And next important issue is of this unilateralism. Regarding that, we have discussed many articles, and it is the similar thing, that who took this initiative in this world, and they brought Washington Consensus, liberalized world, and globalized wave. All these things are not important for America today. They are all going for protectionism, and this all started with the Trump regime, because America first was his slogan, making America great again, as America was not great before him, but this slogan was there, and all protectionist moves were taken. The dream project of Obama, the TPP, he withdrew from it, and this is all a kind of anathema, or going against the main issue of multilateralism and a fair world growth and fair world trade. Now, dispute settlement mechanism. This is the second issue where America is creating a lot of problems. We know it has influence on these bodies like WTO. There is a dispute settlement mechanism that works. Appellate bodies also there, but they have targeted these bodies and they have made them non-functional. And we have also raised this issue many times, that the appellate body and the dispute resolution mechanism in WTO, that is not in favor of developing nations, and that is not fair working. It is in the favor of giants like America. So that is the issue, and members are retiring, and US administration, they have refused to allow the replacement of these members. So that's why appellate body is not also working properly. So these things, they raise a big question. Have the Americans gained anything from the exertion of the administration? And what about those slogans, making America great again? Are those working? Are these taking America towards a great phase? And is it something really happening on the ground as Trump visualized, or it showed others as a dream? So that's a big question. You see the numbers, they are really concerning. You see, Americans targeted a trade deficit. They said that the trade deficit is too much for America and we will bring it down. But not much happened if you see the numbers. And they put these tariffs 2018 year, last year, and even in the last 5 months, the deficit rose by 15%. That means that tariffs, they did not work much. This year, in the first 6 months, there is a decline of 10%. That's obvious, but not much is there. And on the both sides, from Chinese side and American sides, the exports declined from both the countries. So this is how the trade deficit is also largely unimpacted by these tariff wars and all, and by these escalations. And only the destruction, only the problem, only the frustration, and only the distortion of the world trade is happening, and the world is stuck over these two countries. Okay, so this is how they must play a responsible role. They must sort out their own differences, and this time when the attack is on the crude oil and agricultural exports from America to China, they are targeted by Chinese administration, then this may go towards a major escalation. Okay, already these series are going on, and this time the most sensitive issues are attacked. So let's see what happens. And the economic slowdown, which was predicted to be in 2020, that is gonna rise before 2020. Maybe by the end of this year, the economic slowdown will hit the world. And already these countries like India, Brazil, these are struggling a lot, and the world politics is actually impacting a lot, because these things are not automatic. These things are pushed by these geopolitical issues, the tariff issues, and things actually are intentional. Okay, next article, empowering primary care practitioners. Soham D. Bhaduri in this article, which is important for GS paper 2 and 3 again. These two are current affair based papers, so that's why most of the issues are relevant for GS paper 2 and 3. So if you are following these editorials daily, then many of the instances, many of the issues like international relations and geopolitics and all, if you are following these editorials, then you do not need to touch any book before the mains. You will write very smooth answers on these topics because they are explaining these things in much detail again and again. Now it's an important issue of health sector. Ayushman Bharat is touted as a panacea for this country, and we must compare those issues with some most developed countries in this world. They are the examples of Japan, UK, US, these are given, and they are talking about the primary care practitioners. That is the biggest issue with India, because India is very much unequal and nobody wants to go towards villages. If normal people are coming out of villages towards urban areas, then it looks very obvious in this country, where there is a day-night difference in urban areas and the village areas. Village areas are still same as they were 200 years ago. So that is why it looks obvious that doctors will be very less interested to go and serve there in villages. But how can we accept this thing? How the development will be there in rural areas? We are implementing many schemes. Development is happening, and there are a lot of changes, but the thinking doesn't change for the people. It is changing very slowly, and some things are going backwards in this age. And the problems of simple amenities and the basic amenities and the roads, transportation, many issues are there. So doctors are very less interested to go and serve into villages. So that's why who can help there? Who will fill this gap? Because the gap is rising actually. India is becoming more and more unequal. So these primary care practitioners, they are the ultimate help there. Now they talked about the bridge course issue. Means they will be trained for some time, and they can practice like doctors in those areas. But that was also protested very heavily by the doctors community who have done MBBS and they are still employed, and many issues are there. That how can you allow non-medical people? We have given a important part of our life in this preparation and in this course, and this is how you cannot allow these people. But you see, the same doctors, they are very less interested. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them are not interested to go and serve into rural areas. And in urban areas, amenities are there, more chances of setting up any clinic or something like that, bigger practice, more dense population there, and obviously they are targeting more money making in the urban areas. That is also true, because the rural poor people, they cannot pay much. And it is not only about the practice in the government hospitals, they are also targeting private practice there. So that is also the issue, and that is the most unfortunate thing in this country that is going on, with no bounds there. Now they give the example of Japan here. Like in Japan, the PCPs, the practitioners of primary care, they are important stakeholder in the decision making process. Their healthcare system, they have a cloud of specialists, and they have prohibited reciprocal connections between doctors and private clinics and hospitals. That is why there was a sturdy lobby of clinic based PCPs, and they were running this whole primary healthcare system on their own in a way. And the Japanese social health insurance, that was implemented in 1927, so long ago, and that was mainly state oriented, and JMA, the Japanese Medical Association, was dominated by PCPs mainly. Means that's the issue. Now we look at the Indian condition. At the primary level, first of all, people are not aware. They are very less educated. If they are educated, still they believe like any backward person. They will believe more on these quacks or babas than any other doctor. And there is a reason also, because the facilities are not available, doctors are not available, and those people, they fool them with many promises and all. So this is how the situations don't change. That is the prime reason. Next, our focus is more on urban areas, the urban hospitals, the buildings which are raised there, and now richer and richer hospitals are coming up. The policies and the rules and regulations are supporting them more, and the primary healthcare is very problematic in India because the budget allocations are very less. And now we have targeted the PSCs, CSCs in the Ayushman Bharat schemes and Arogya Yojana and all, but practically the budget allocation is needed, because in Ayushman Bharat it is all a kind of a great opportunity for the private hospitals to earn money. How? You see, in India the facilities are obviously more in the private hospitals, district hospitals, and these government hospitals. These all levels, they are mired with many problems, unhygienic conditions, and many times in the newspaper and these television newses, we see those visuals and all, how bad the condition is in some hospitals of UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, and many areas. The problems are too much. Now people will have 5 lakh rupees with Ayushman Bharat, so they do not have to pay there, and private hospitals are allowed. They will hospitalize these patients, and very normal patients, they will tend to hospitalize them because they will make huge invoices for that, and people would not need to pay there. Government is going to pay there. So this is how both parties will be happy with that. Means people will have good facilities, so they will tend to go more towards private hospitals. And here hospitals are earning very well, because where they must earn 100 rupees, they will give an invoice of 1000 rupees. And this is how this is a great system in the support of private sector there. That is the biggest criticism of the Ayushman Bharat. Okay, and all the critics are talking about that. Means the basic outdoor facilities and all these are not incentivized, but the hospitalization charges, they are incentivized in the Ayushman Bharat scheme. And that is why it's all a different model. It's all a technocratic model, hospital oriented model, and it is very much contrary to the Japanese model that we are talking about, because there are clear nexuses. And the doctors, the ongoing rampant unregulated dual practice system, as I told you, that they practice in government hospitals and they practice in private sector also. So that thing must not be allowed, but that is totally allowed there, because they are heavily secured on both the places. They are earning money, and you go to small towns and all, these doctors are billionaires in a way. Some of them are, and they have all the setting with the income tax officials and all, and this is all really a problematic thing. And there is a issue of huge corruption there, because the way they earn money, that is really problematic in small towns, because in bigger towns there are regulations which are followed many times, but in smaller towns it's a huge problem. Now, basic medical care, that is the area where most impoverishing expenses are incurred. Means the normal people, most of the people, mainly the poor people, they face these basic health problems, and their expenses, means whatever additional they earn, like 500, 600, 1000, 2000, 3000, these are all lost on these basic medical care, and that is not incentivized in this Ayushman Bharat. If you go to hospital and you are admitted there for 2, 3, 5 days, then you will be incentivized. So that is the real issue. And we have always focused on the specialists, and always ignored the primary practitioners there, and that is going on since our Independence Board Committee report 1946. they highlighted the need for a social physician, and then it took 37 years to be executed. Next, Medical Council of India in this country, that was also dominated by the specialists, means the the primary care practitioners, they are stakeholders nowhere. Even in the new NMC Act, which has come now and heavily protested by many states, so there also a lot of ignorances are there for these primary care practitioners. So that's why we have ignored this category, and we are not providing a great solution there. We talked about the bridge course and all these issues, and those were good in a sense if we see the ground realities, but it was protested heavily. The orthodox allopathic community, which supports these kind of things in those developed countries like Japan and US, UK, the same community here in this country opposes the same thing. So this is a problem. And you see, if you talk about the US paramedics, staff and nurses, they train them well, and those are running the basic healthcare system there in those countries, and they are very much efficient. And you see, as I told you, there are typical problems in India. These examples are good and we must follow that, but there are practical issues in this country because everyone is money minded. If somebody would be allowed with a new platform, with the new rulings, and these bridge course and all these things will be allowed, then many of these people in the rural areas, they will start looting these poor people because they do not know much about the health system and all, and they are totally dependent on these doctors and all, so they may start this loot. That is also a concern which was discussed in this issue. But you see, it's a very complex issue. First, this unequal India, then there are problems on the ground, and we have to take some steps here because we cannot adjust with the ongoing system. People are suffering a lot. So whether we allow all these primary care practitioners, or we make some things mandatory for the doctors there, and when they are becoming specialists without serving in the primary care system, that is problematic. No doctor must be allowed to become a specialist without serving into private care system. So that is also a huge need, and these things we need to change here, and we need to empower and ennoble PCPs, the primary care practitioners, and give them a prominent voice in our decision making. Means we must include them, and this inclusion will solve many problems there. Maybe some issues will be there in the starting, but many things will be solved later. And the most important thing, we need to reclaim health from these ivory towers called hospitals, means the rich hospitals which are flourishing in this country, and they are seriously looting people with their hefty bills, and it is all management like a 5-star hotel that they are doing, and all these things are going on. But you see, it's a great issue of inequality, where on a same street there is a 5-star hospital there, and the poor people, they just look at it and they cannot enter into these hospitals because there are guards, and they can never avail anything from those hospitals. So this is not humane, first of all, and this must change, and the basic facilities and the basic healthcare system must be available for the poorest of the people. This Ayushman Bharat scheme needs many changes, and the budget allocation towards the healthcare sector, that must rise. We have made a target of 2.5% by 2025. That is so shameful, and we need more than 5% today. So how we are going to tackle these challenges of communicable disease, NCDs and all, these all basic changes are needed there. So this is all in this article. Next, the leftover of yesterday, putting the pedal to the metal. Here the only issue, we have been discussing the problem of automobile sector. All time low sales are going on, but you see, this is a cyclical downturn, and it happens many times in this sector. But you see why this time it's a huge problem, because across all the categories there is a huge slowdown there, and there are low sales in cars, light commercial vehicles, heavy commercial vehicles, and auto sector, tractors, every particular category. So where it was a natural cyclical downturn, it has been amplified by extraordinary circumstances, and the combination of these circumstances, you see, the Bharat stage norms which are coming, the sales which are blocked in a sense in these companies, those all vehicles are of BS4 category, because BS5 we are jumping and we are coming straight to BS6, and from April 1 2020 it will be applicable. That means there is a big confusion that what's going to happen for all these vehicles which are having BS4 compliant engines. So the right demand is there that at least make changes in the GSTs, because 28%, the luxury category, is being imposed on all the vehicles category. Means even the passenger vehicles, the autos and all, they are inviting 28% GST. That's a real problematic thing. This area, this particular sector was a flamboyant sector. It was giving a lot of sales and all, and it was something that government was earning a lot. But now it has gone to dogs, and this sector is facing a lot of existential threats, and thousands of jobs are gone, lakhs are looking at a gloomy future. So that's why they must come down to 18% at least on these BS4 compliant engines. That is the suggestion by writer also. Next, electric vehicles, a huge issue. A big confusion has been created after the budget announcement that electric vehicles will be promoted and promoted and all, and they have said that a new wave will come and all vehicles will turn into electric vehicles in upcoming decades. So that is why what's going to happen with the internal combustion engine vehicles, if you are going to promote electric vehicles only, then it can be a huge problem, but it is not going to happen very very soon. So a lot of confusions are there, means in which way we will move in the upcoming 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So the plan must be there, but that is not much clarity, and that is why these confusions remains remaining. And the commercial vehicles category, if we talk about, then we have to see some facts here. You see, the loading norms in these commercial vehicles, they are extremely important, means how much load they carry. So those were relaxed in a sense. And you see, there is a tendency in the truck manufacturers that they manufacture many units in one time, and then they start dumping these to companies, and they will give a lot of incentives. They will give a lot of attractions for these buyers and all, and this is how they will go to very high numbers very very soon. Now after the GST issue, these things had some changes, but this dumping didn't stop, and the dumping continued, and now a lot of vehicles are there in the market, and now they are not getting sold. So it's a huge problem, and there is no demand, so the pipeline is totally blocked. Now the biggest problem, when this deadline is not going to be compromised of April 1 2020, then this whole stock of BS4 vehicles that must be cleared before April 2020. Otherwise it is going to be a huge problem, because after that people will not have any trust, or they will be totally confused about the situation that what's going to happen, because rulings, they may appear in any form. Like the electric vehicles, they have also left people confused, because are you going to allow only electric vehicles in the future? Because cars people buy for years, and these rules, they may change in these years. So what's going to happen, how we are going to deal with those situations, and many things are concerning for the automobile sector. So that is why they are demanding, and this demand of lowering the GST for BS4 compliant vehicles, that is legitimate. Okay, and a fatigue is going on in this sector. They are not going for any further production. These units are stuck into these into these companies' campuses, and we have seen the case of Maruti and Hyundai, how these cars are standing on the ground and they are not getting sold. And here some new companies like Kia Seltos and MG Hector, they brought some new changes, and they brought some new features, and they got some good bookings, and they have attracted many customers also. So it's all a confusion that is going on. Means the new players, they are earning some, but the old ones, they are going through this model fatigue, because they are not able to think through this situation. How do we go further? So this clarity must be there, and the regulations and all these issues, how much compromise can be there, they need to clear it out. And this sector is a flamboyant sector till now, but future is really problematic. The festival season is coming, so these new changes must be there very soon. So this is all in these articles, and the facts we will take in the MCQ lesson, and please do attend the MCQ lesson also. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sani.